Hi guys, this is Slope-Intercept Form. Hopefully you're at the spot in your packet. We're looking at some equations today, and we're just taking a little step further as to what we did before. Basically, the whole idea is we want to take equations of lines and put them in what we call slope-intercept form. And this is the same as what we've done before. It's just going to look a little different. Or if you remember, we talked about putting equations into function form. Well, guess what? Slope-intercept form is the exact same thing. All right. All you want to do is take this equation and make it look like this, where you have y all by itself, you have your equal sign, have your x term first, and then a constant or a number that comes after it. The reason why you want to do that is we've said before, this is your slope. Okay, and now we're going to call B, we're going to call that your y-intercept, all right? And you may say, well, big deal, so I can put it in this form. Well, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to graph a line much easier, okay? Before we would make the little chart, the X and Y chart, and we'd guess what number we should put in here, and we'd get a matching number here, and we'd do that 3 or 4 times, and we'd graph those points. Well, now we don't really have to do that anymore if we can do this. All right, so very easy. Example 1 on your packet. This one is already in y equals mx plus b form. You've got the y over here by itself. You've got the x term first, and then you've got some constant after it. All right, so first one, really easy. This is your slope, okay? That is a positive 2. If I go to graph it, I would write it as 2 over 1. All right, this is your y-intercept. Again, we've always said that y-intercept is more than just one number. It is a coordinate, and the coordinate is always a 0 for the x, and whatever that number is, that is for the y. So example 1a, already done. Okay, it's already solved, put into this form, and so now we know our slope and our y-intercept. All right, part B, a little more difficult because it's not in this form. All right, we have to put it in this form. That's where we got to use our algebra. Again, nothing what we haven't done before. All right, I want to get y all by itself, so we'll solve it. Okay, we want to get this 4x to the other side, so we take away 4x on this side. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. All right, and so 4x minus 4x, those go away. This 3y comes straight down. This equal sign comes straight down. These two I cannot subtract. Some of you guys still want to do this, but please don't. This has an x term, and this doesn't. So I cannot subtract those. So I just write it like that. Alrighty. I still want to solve for y. I want to get y all by itself, so I need to get rid of this 3. This 3 is being multiplied by the y, so I undo it. I get rid of it by dividing by 3. Make sure when you go over here, you divide the whole side by 3. Okay, notice my line is all the way underneath both of these terms. All right, these 3's cancel to 1, so I bring down 1y, bring down my equals. When I go to do division, divide each term. 9 divided by 3 gives me a 3. And negative 4 divided by 3, that's not going to look too nice. So I'm going to leave it as negative 4 over 3x. And what I mean by too nice, 4 divided by 3 is like 1 point something. Okay, it's 1 1/3, but I don't want to write 1 1/3. I don't want to write 1 and 0.3 repeating. Okay, I don't like to do that, so I'm just going to leave it as a fraction like this. Okay, now we're close, but we're not quite to y equals mx plus b yet because this guy with the x term is second. All I'm going to do is take this whole term. I put a circle around that because I want you to see this negative goes with this term. And I'm going to write it another way. Y equals negative 4/3 x. And this 3, in front of that 3 is a positive. So I'm going to write a plus 3. that is in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, now let me change colors here, and now this is my slope because that is where the m is. So my slope is -4/3. Okay, and this is my y-intercept. Okay, and again, it's not just 3, it is 0, comma 3. The x term is always a 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is turn on to checkpoint 1, actually 1 and 2, and I have the answers already put here. So you can pause it once you give it a shot. Pause this and check your answers. If you didn't get them right, go back and figure out what you did wrong. Okay, or you can go back and watch this part. It's the beauty of these videos. You can rewind. So I'm going to turn these off, and there's the answers to checkpoint 1. Okay, and again, I'm just going to leave it up there for a minute because you can pause it and I can't. So, all right. So now we are on to example 2. Example 2 is simply another equation, but we want to graph it. All right. So I'm going to need to graph this. So I'm going to turn on my coordinate plane over here so I can graph this. Now yours is already graphed for you, but I want to show you how. Okay, because this is a process, very easy, but you're going to have to do this many times over the next few years in math, in science, in business. All right. So here we go. Put it into y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to make a little list down here. Oops, I got to fix that. Let me go to this. Okay, I make a little list down here. Okay, put it into y equals mx plus b form. Well, guess what? It already is. Y equals, here's my m, x plus, here's my b. All right. Once you do that, you need to identify your slope and your y-intercept. Okay, I'm just going to point to them right here. Here's my slope, and here's my y-intercept. Okay, so my slope is -3/4. My y-intercept is 0, 2. Here's the beauty of this thing. We don't have to make an x and y chart and guess some x's and figure out some y's anymore. All right, step number 2 is just go to your y-intercept. Okay, my y-intercept is 0, 2, so I go over to my coordinate plane. I go to the right 0, and let me give you a hint, the y-intercept will always be 0, right or left. All right, and go up 2, and I put a dot right there. Okay, number 3, use the slope. This is the whole reason why we put it into y equals mx plus b. All right, I go here to my y-intercept, which I just did, and then I use my slope. Slope of -3/4 means down 3/4, and I put a dot where I end up. Okay, do it again. Start at this dot you just put, down 3/4. Put a dot. Do it again. Down 3/4. Okay. We're in 8th grade. All we have to do is count up or down and count right or left. All right. Once you get that, now you got a bunch of points. Connect the dots. All right. Now I do not have a ruler on this thing, so I'm going to give it my best shot here. You, of course, will use a ruler and connect and make sure you put an arrow there and an arrow there, and there's graphed. So really easy. This is a process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Oh, there's only 4. I know a lot of you guys like a step-by-step process. That's great. All right, but you got to go through this process every time. We didn't have to do this one this time. You may in the future, but it's nothing we haven't done before. Okay. Now, if you look at the next section, they talk about the slope and of parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Okay. So let's take a minute to talk about that. Let me get rid of my coordinate plane, And let me erase some things here. See you later, because I need a little space over here. Okay. Now, very easy, guys. Parallel lines. If I want to find the slope of a line that is parallel to this guy, oh, wouldn't it make sense that they have the same slope? If they're running parallel, they're never going to cross. They go up the same amount, over the same amount. So parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, very, very easy. So as an example, if I have this equation right here, and I want a line that is parallel to this one, then the slope of the new line would equal -3/4. Very simple. All right, there's no magic, there's no anything more to it. Okay, the other kind of line you could have that is easy to find is a line that is perpendicular to the given line. Okay, so perpendicular lines, S, have a slope that is the negative reciprocal of the given line. Okay, so perpendicular lines have a slope that is the negative, I'm going to spell negative out, reciprocal, okay, of this given line. Now, we haven't really talked about that, but it's nothing you haven't done before. You know how to take the negative of a number, okay, and you know how to take the reciprocal of a number. So if I want a line that is perpendicular to this line, we know the slope of this line is -3/4. Well, I take the negative reciprocal of that line. So negative of a negative is positive, and reciprocal is 4/3. There you go. Okay, so two things to know there. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and turn the next example on here. So I'll see you later to that. Hello. The next example in your packet, this is example 3. They give you this equation, and they want you to do a few things. They want you to find the y equals mx plus b form, or the slope-intercept form. So first, let's do that. Okay, I'm going to rewrite it over here. And I want to make it look like this. Okay, y equals mx plus b, or function form, or slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b form. It is all the same thing. All right, so I want to get y all by itself, so I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. And the more and more you do these, the more and more you see they really are the same problem, just different numbers. That goes away. Bring down this 2y, bring down this equals. These two cannot be subtracted, so I'm going to write it like this. Next thing, I need to get this y all by itself. Again, I divide by 2, I divide by 2. 2's go away. Y comes down, equals comes down. All right, slow down a little bit over here. 10 divided by 2, that gives me a 5. 5 divided by 2, again, that's not going to come out to a nice whole number, so I'm going to leave it as 5/2x. It's not quite in this form yet. I just want to take this part right here, put it in front. So I bring the negative with it, just like I did before. And I bring the positive 5 to be a plus 5. So this is y equals mx plus b form. Once I do that, it's really easy to graph. They don't ask me to do it in this one, but I could. I start with my y-intercept at 0, 5, and I use my slope. What they want to know is What would be the slope of a line that is parallel to this? Well, once it's in y equals mx plus b form, I know this is the slope of that line. All right. So if I want a line that is parallel, the slope is going to be negative 5 over 2, the exact same. All right. If I want a line that is perpendicular to this one, I want the slope to be the negative reciprocal. So the negative of a negative is positive, and the reciprocal of 5 over 2 is simply 2 over 5. All right, so that is example 3. Again, if you need to watch it again, that's your prerogative. All right, I'm going to turn this one off though, and I'm going to turn on the answers to checkpoint 2. All right, again, you can pause it once you've done it. Oops, I got to learn to do that. Okay, so now I can draw in here. And here's the things that you should get from this lesson. You should be able to put an equation into y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. You should then be able to tell me what the slope and the y-intercept is. Okay. You should be able to graph any equation once we put it in there. And then you also should be able to tell me what is the slope of a parallel line and what is the slope of a perpendicular line to that given line. All right, so those are the big 4 things that come out of this lesson. So I'm going to stop, and hopefully this has been helpful. Again, if you need to, you go back and watch it again. It's, I think, less than 15 minutes long, and we'll see you tomorrow.